Salam alaikum, alaikum salam, que sean bien a todos. Kiako, kiako, piango, piango, ya tú sabes. Your brother from another mother. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing good this evening. 203, 34 degrees. On the grind, making, the donuts like always. Wanted to make a short video. This video is not about Palo. I just wanted to give some insight of something and a tradition, a knowledge that's in the scriptures, in the book, the Torah, the Septuagint, the Old Testament, and it's the understanding of when the Most High, that power that be, who people call God and all the different names, which these are just like attributes and sayings, because who really knows that power's name? In a sense, right? Who really knows that power's name? So we say the Most High, we say God, we say Allah, we say Allah, we say Elohim, Hashem, the name, because the Jewish people do not say the tetragrammaton, the Yahweh, Vahe, or people say other ways around. So they say Hashem. Different names that power is called here. Even us in Palo, we say in Sambia and Pungo. Sambia and Pungo, that spirit. But it has more meaning. Sambia and Pungo has more meaning and more understanding. And this more is just not in Sambia and Pungo. It has to do with Kalunga also and a lot of other things. Because the Bantu had different understandings of that power. Anyway, what I'm talking about. If you read the scriptures, right, and, you have studied a little bit of it, you're going to notice that in the scriptures, there's 12 tribes. Those are what's called the 12 tribes of Israel, right? And in those 12 tribes, there is a tribe that's not considered a tribe, but it was the Levitical priesthood. The Levitical priesthood came from Moses, but actually from Moses' brother, Aaron. God chose Moses' brother Aaron and his sons to be the priest for the children of Israel. So the priest, God chose them as the ones that will have to deal with anything that had to be done with animal sacrifices, with propitiations, with burnt offerings, with cleaning themselves to get rid of sins to the Most High, how to be done by a Levitical priesthood. And these days, we will call that an Nganga. That was the original Nganga for me in the Bible, with the Levitical priests. So they couldn't do things on their own to do away with the sins that they committed. Once a year, the Hebrews had to go to the Levitical priest, and the Levitical priest first had to sacrifice an animal for himself, clean himself, and sacrifice an animal. Then he would sacrifice an animal, the animal that the other people will bring for the expiation of their sins. So when you think about it, you say, oh wow, they're called Levitical priests in the scriptures. They're the ones who do all the work and the cleaning and everything for sins and all that, and the offerings. But when you start thinking about it, those were the Ngangas. Those were the priests that would help people. And they didn't just do sin offerings, but they also cleaned themselves of negativity, get it off of their bodies and off of themselves. And every year they had to go, the Hebrews had to go to these priests. And the reason why they're not considered a tribe is because the Levitical priesthood was divided into all the tribes, meaning that wherever a tribe lived at, there was a Levitical priest living with them also. So God gave them, and another thing, the animals, a lot of the animals that the Levitical priesthood would sacrifice, some of that meat, they would keep it for themselves, because that was their form of payment. That was their form of survival, how to survive. The people would bring animals, they would sacrifice it, and they would cut a certain part of that meat, and they would keep that meat for themselves, because since God didn't give them land or nothing, God gave them that position as being a priest and Nganga. Then that's what they had, you know. So they were amongst all the other tribes. They were among the Levitical priests were spread out all among those tribes. So, you know, I just wanted to make a short video showing you that even in the scriptures, people had to go to a priest to do things, and they just didn't do just that. You know, they were experts on knowing certain diseases and and how to cure certain diseases. You know, it says in back in those days there was a lot of leprosy. It was one of the diseases, and they knew when you had lepra, when you didn't have it, how vast you had it. And the people that had any signs of leprosy would have to be taken out of from around the tribes. They couldn't be around their tribe if they had some sign of leprosy. They were taken out from the tribes in order to contain that leprosy and not let it spread out to the rest of the people of the tribes. So, you know, and even with the split of the kingdoms, because at one point the Israelites didn't want to be under King, if I'm not mistaken, King Solomon. Is it King Solomon? King Solomon, if I'm not mistaken. Was it King Solomon? I'm not sure. Don't hold me to account like that. But I don't remember too good. It's been a while. Well, they separated. They didn't want to be under that kingship. So it states that 10 tribes separated themselves from the tribe of because the kingship always been the bloodline brought down from the tribe of Judah. Judah was always promised that through their lineage will be where the kings will come out from the tribe of Judah. So it states that Judah, Benjamin, and some of Levi, some of the Levitical priests, consisted of the southern kingdom. And then the 10 tribes consisted of the other 10 tribes, except Judah and Benjamin, and they also had Levitical priesthood, you know, with them. And that split was created, and they went into battle. They fought against each other. A whole bunch of things happened between even the Israelites on their own. And, you know, the whole point of me explaining this and trying to bring some light to it is for you guys to see that even in the Bible, when you start reading, you know, from the old, which they call Old Testament, it's not the Old Testament. It's just the first books that the people got from Moses, because Moses was given this knowledge from the Most High, from God. That's what the Bible states. And Moses wrote it down. You know? So this is the 5 books of Moses. I think is Exodus. Well, let me see if I can remember. It's been a long time. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Those are the 5 books. They might not be in that order. Those are the 5 books of Moses. And that's what's called the Old Testament. Plus, you have the what they considered the higher prophets, and then the lower prophets. They have that book. The Old Testament has them also in there. But it's just a quick little insight of how could you look at things, you know? How could you even see that even in the scriptures, with all the commotion and all the mixture and things that have been blown out of proportion and tampered with in the scriptures, you can see that there were people that followed that type of tradition. And you also got to remember that the Jews worshipped what the Egyptian worshipped, because they were under bondage. They were under slavery to the Egyptians for a long time. So they stopped believing in what they believed in. They started worshiping the same thing that the Egyptians worshiped. And if you keep reading, right, you'll notice that it states that when Moses went up to get the first set of 10 commandments that were already written by the hand of God, it states, God tells Moses that his people down there are going berserk, like, you know, they being unlawful. So Moses comes down with the 10 commandments, right? And when he sees the people, what the people have done, the people took the gold that they had took from Egypt before they exited out. That's why the book is called Exodus, because they exit out Egypt from the king, from the Pharaoh. They brought gold with them, and they melted that gold, and they made like a calf out of gold, because they were saying that Moses wasn't coming back. Remember, Moses supposedly had left for 40 days and 40 nights. So the people said, Moses ain't coming back. You understand? We want to worship what we worshipped up in Egypt, you know? So they melted the gold and they built a calf out of it, and they were worshiping that calf, right, as a god. So God tells Moses what's going on. So Moses supposedly comes down the mountain, and he's coming with those commandments. Remember, they're written in stone, written by the hand of God. You understand? Stating that no man touched that. That was God who wrote on those stones. And when Moses comes and sees what's going on, it states that he grabbed Aaron, his brother, by his beard, because he had left Aaron in charge. Aaron and his sister Miriam, kind of in charge to look over the people. But you got to remember, these are thousands of people. These are thousands and thousands of people from all tribes. You understand? From all the tribes. You know, one man and one woman can't contain those thousands of people. You know, they could kill them. But Moses got pissed off, was mad. So Moses broke those tablets. And if you keep reading, Moses says, and I'm paraphrasing, after he gets pissed off and all, Moses says, whoever is with God, the one that Moses believes in, get on this side. Like, in other words, y'all come on my side. You guys come where I'm at. If you believe in the God that, you know, gave me these commandments, the ones that brought us all the way and took us out of Egypt, and the ones who don't believe, stay where you at. And if you keep reading, there was a battle between those people that didn't come on Moses' side, and they were slaughtered. The ones who believed on God from Moses' side killed all the other brothers and sisters that were on the other side, that didn't want to comply, or they wanted to keep worshiping the calf. And even they killed amongst each other, got killed. So, you know, it's a lot of things in the scriptures that when you look at it with a different eye and a different mind, without indoctrination, you could see a little comparison on some of the scriptures and some of the stuff that are written in the chapters of the book. And you also could see where this tradition, or at least part of it, could have came from the people that were in those tribes. You know, because there were 12 tribes according to the book. And according to the book, the tribes were numbered by the lineage of the father, because every man that had a child was how they would count the people and know their lineage, because it was always taught that the man keeps the name of the father, meaning that if a man and a woman have a son, that son becomes what his father is, from the father's bloodline, from the father's lineage. They didn't look at it, they come from the mother, so we follow the mother's lineage. No, it was always by the father. You know, so you are what your father is. Why? And it's very simple. When a woman gets married, usually what happens? The woman takes on the husband's last name. So when she has a child, the boy that she has becomes what her husband is, her husband's lineage. So that baby boy that's born from that marriage keeps on his father's name, his father's lineage. Now, when they have a daughter and the daughter gets married, now whoever she married, the man that she's married, if she has a boy, it keeps on the lineage of that husband that she has, and so forth. And we know this because even in the Latino community, the women always change their name to the man's, and men always wanted to have a boy because they wanted the boy to follow their footsteps. They wanted to leave the boy whatever they had, whether they had properties or cars or anything. They always wanted to leave the boy with that. You know, or they always wanted for the boy to work in whatever he worked in, the father worked in. There was always this type of joy and this type of tradition, you know, even amongst us, even amongst our communities, still to this day. But, you know, it states that after all that happened, Moses had to go back again for another 40 days and 40 nights. And I laugh, but not because of what is written. I laugh because the things that the people went through all the bondage and slavery that they went through, and there was a power that's written in the scriptures that brought them out of that darkness, out of that bondage, and still with that power, seeing what that power did for them, they still rebelled against that power, who they called God. You understand? Yahweh, or Yahweh, whichever way they want to say. They still were always reneging against God. Any little thing, they were hungry, they complained. Moses would talk to God. God will give them food from heaven. Manna came from heaven. They were thirsty. Moses talked to God. God told Moses, told that rock to give you water, to bring forth water, and they had water. Like, they were handed everything, and they would complain for any little thing. You know, like, it wasn't enough for that power to be walking with them and then seeing all the miraculous things that God did for them. Because when you read all the Old Testament, the book, you see how it says that God split the sea for them, split the waters, for they could walk and get away from the Pharaoh. You know, it's the stories are unbelievable. And if it did happen, how will you as a human being that sees all these miraculous things being done for you, and you, for any little thing, you go against that power that you call God, you know? So just something to think about. Just here thinking out of the box, thinking out of the norm, looking at scripture from a different perspective, using a different mindset, not following the dogma, the doctrine, or the indoctrination that are taught in these schools of doctrine. The Bible has a lot of teachings in it if you know how to pull the stuff out and use it. Just like it has things in there that is no good for mankind, and also it has a lot of things in there that it could also be looked at as kind of cartoonish, you know, kind of like phony, because there's a lot of things in there that don't make no sense. And, you know, I don't mean to disrespect the scriptures or anything, because I have read them, and here and then, if I want to look something up to speak about, I'll look it up and talk about it. But like I always say, in books you can learn things, but you have to know what to take from the book and what to leave. You know, you have to have discernment. You have to know how to discern, and you can't let people indoctrinate you the way that they want you to read the book. You have to read the book the way you understand the book. You understand? To this day, that's why we have so many churches out here, because not everybody reads the book the same, not everybody understands it the same, and that's why it's so divided. You never see a Jew trying to convert you into Judaism. You never see them coming out here, walking in the streets, giving you pamphlets and telling you to come into Judaism. They themselves will tell you it's hard to be a Jew. You know how much you have to leave and how much you have to do to follow the way we follow, to be in our community, because at the end of the day, it's a community. It's not only a religion, it's a community, it's a way of life, you know? And they tell you it's hard. And the ones that have been, I would say, fortunate enough to become Jews or be converted into Judaism, they have to have went through rigorous testing and learning before they will go with the procedures of actually converting that person as a Jew. Very, very minute people from other nations are Jews because of this thing here. They don't teach you. They don't even come out here. The only ones that come out here to try to teach you are people that are not Jews. Christians, Muslims, Hebrews, and this sort. But nobody else will come out here try to teach you anything about the Bible, none of that. Not even the so-called Jew, they're supposed to be the ones that have these blessings and are so-called to be the ones who's supposed to give the light to the Gentiles, meaning us. We will be the Gentiles, because we are not supposedly from those 12 tribes. So we are considered Gentiles. We're considered cattle, in other words. They even call us cattle too. But anyway, guys, I'm just here messing around, thinking about things and just putting something out there, something different, something to think about. Be safe, and salam alaikum, alaikum salam. Have a great day.